People will say things like, oh, King David in the Bible, who was so blessed by Jesus, did terrible things like sending his best friend to the front line of the army or the military so that he could have his friend's wife. He did terrible things. Is this the kind of God that you guys want to talk about? Well, here's what you got to understand. The lesson in that is clear. Not everyone is going to live a perfect life as they indulge themselves in a relationship with God, as they intend to pursue God. They're not going to necessarily live a perfect life. And really, you got to ask yourself, right? When we talk about, oh, it's unlikely that this is going to happen, it's unlikely that that happened, it's unlikely that this happened, it's unlikely that even if God was staring you in the face, that you would live a perfect life. How many, because we're there with our children live a perfect life? Just because we're there. How many of our children don't make mistakes just because we're there and watching? How many of our kids were able to do calculus at 5 years old just because we were there watching? We cannot correlate God's presence with our perfection. And it's always the critics, right? And I'll say it's an underlying subconscious doubt. It could be self, it could be external influence, but we always have this extreme criticism of the nature of a relationship with a God as it pertains to a human, as if we're somehow something so phenomenal outside of a relationship with God, as if we're so perfect. We act as though being imperfect invalidates the idea that you can have a relationship with your Creator, but that the Creator can choose you or have a relationship with you or use you to do something or try to use you. It doesn't even necessarily mean that you're going to listen or, you may rebel, but it doesn't mean that God isn't pursuing you for a purpose. And so I say all this just to remind you all, especially when you hear those doubters like, there's so much bad stuff in the Bible. That's the point, guys, is that you need to understand that you're going to be imperfect as you begin this journey. So many people refuse to begin opening their hearts up to God and God's Son, Jesus, and whoever else surrounding them or in close relation to them, because you feel as though you're not worthy, you feel as though you're guilty. And that doesn't mean that because you're worthy that it means you're superior to others, but it means that you're allowed to love yourself through your imperfection. You're allowed to forgive yourself where you're at so you can start anew. And I just want to share that with y'all today, man. I love y'all. God bless.